matchup. What a game. What players have we got here? I am so incredibly excited as we dive in to game number 1 of set number 2 in the semifinals today. Spawning in on the south side of the map. Actually, you know what? I'm going to let you do the south side of the map.
All right, I know where we're going. I know where we're going exactly. But we got Beastyqt on the southern part of the map with the Chinese in blue, and now it is your time to introduce.
Spawning in the north of the map, in the color red, playing as the Rus. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the one and only, the greatest of all time. It is TheViper. And goddamn, isn't he looking absolutely beautiful? Already opening us up with a hunting cabin, a lumber camp going down, and a house is slowly being built up by a villager. 3 villagers on wood. That is a lot of villagers on wood. Going to have no problems with wood this game, I would suspect. Sufficient amounts of wood.
Yeah, no insufficient wood on the horizon, bit of a scout dancing now over here. And this is where we have to mention that with the scout attack rate being boosted, that applies to the arrows fired by them as well. So suddenly these scout dances turn out to be a little more interesting here because you can actually fire a 3rd arrow into a deer if you just right click it. So it's not as straightforward as it used to be with a scout dance right now, with Viper having 2 of the wolves aggroed here. Looks like he's taken down most of those deers though. Very good start here for the snake.
Yeah, he's looking quite strong, actually getting in a couple of shots in before his enemy can. And you can see he's getting that scout down to pretty low health at the same time the wolf chasing it. Is he going to get a kill there? I'm curious to see exactly how much damage he's got on it, but it looks like the wolf going to be chasing away that scout towards the edge of the map, and Viper going to be potentially in a bit of trouble, but manages to make his way down towards the south. It looks like he's going to be turning his attention towards this wolf, but at the same time, he's heading back towards the town center. And look at the damage that's coming out on that wolf. Is he going to turn around in time? Beastie turns around in time, takes the wolf, now picks up the second wolf, and we repeat the same story of earlier.
Yeah, indeed. 160 bounty right now in for Viper. He's got wheelbarrow already coming in here, and it looks like for now Beastie is going to just supervise the berries, if I saw it correctly. That would be a little surprising. Could we actually take a look at there? I would assume that he's taking the sheep with that mill right next to those berries, but yeah, he's taking the sheep. It's a little deceiving because that carcass is right next to the berries, but he's taking the sheep. He added a supervisor though, and this is something that we have to talk about. With the new patch coming in, the Imperial Officer no longer costs 150 food, rather it costs 100 food and 50 gold. So that's the reason why, as you see, Beastie has to start mining gold a little sooner with the Chinese than we have seen before.
Yeah, it kind of punishes the Chinese a little bit. Not punishes, but just forces them to actually go for a gold mine in the early stages of the game. You can still technically do it without the gold mine, but it just takes you so much longer to age up. It's not really worth it. You do lose a lot of tempo, but Beastyqt looking pretty standard at this point in time. We've got ourselves a Barbican, ladies and gentlemen. It is happening. Game number 1 in the Golden League semifinals. This is the second semifinals. We've got ourselves a Barbican. How many villages is that moving out right now? Is that 3? Is that 4? It's not enough to take a boar, that's for sure.
It's free. And the reason why I love the Barbican is because the Barbican of the Sun can field 10 villagers inside there. So one of the problems when it comes to civilizations not being the Rus or the Chinese to go for boars is that a single tower only garrisons 5 villagers. You could see for a brief moment that Viper got another wolf for himself, so he's up to 275. But the Rus can just make a wooden fortress. Then you can fit 8 villagers inside, and you want to have at least like 6, 7, 8 villagers out there that bore. And the Chinese can do something very similar with the Barbican of the Sun, being able to fit in all the villagers that they send out for the boar in there in case they get attacked.
Oh my god, I'm so excited to see a Barbican finally coming to life. All the theory crafting has finally paid off, and now we do see the Chinese counter to the Rus fast boar coming out. And of course, Viper is going to scout this out, and he's going to say, a Barbican? What is this? In 2022? And now we're going to see that boar slowly be taken down by that Barbican. He's got the scout out ready. I'm assuming he's just going to right-click the boar. What does he do here? Does the boar then attack?
He ignores it.
I don't even... Wait, what? He just puts the Barbican on the boar and just lets it go? So it's not even...
Yeah,
is
because
this even
look at the other boar spot, Ozzy. He is not coming in to take the boar for himself. He just wants to prevent the opponent from doing so. Because the other boar is on the far left. That's pretty much impossible for Viper to access. He's basically going for a preemptive tower rush on this boar rather than just taking it for himself.
I mean, the problem is if Viper realizes this, he could totally just counterplay. So the counterplay to this is you just pull the boar. You leash it outside the range of the Barbican, and then you just kill it there, and then all of a sudden you've got yourself a free boar. Yeah, you can see right now the boar sits... Yeah, yeah.
He needs to aggro
Ideally,
it
you
and kill
want
it
to.
with the Barbican.
Correct. That is exactly what you want to do. But we'll see if Viper looks to pay attention to that. Now we've got the fast dynasty coming in behind this for Beastyqt. So he is not messing around. He is going straight up into the Song dynasty. Faster villager production, access to the Choku Nu, and most importantly, access to the granary. Not really. The granary is not that cool. I mean, it's cool, but it's just not viable. It's not viable.
And with the supervise, you can also field a lot of archers very fast over here. So whether it's archers or whether it's Chukonu, likely going to be Chukonu, it's something that you can use to match the opponent's archer numbers out here. Another key factor out there, as you got the scouts harassing those villagers on the gold mine a tiny bit. Fast dynasty, as you said, on the way. Viper so far hasn't moved out for a boar, or did he? There is something on the left side, and that might just be scout scuffling.
It is scout scuffling, indeed it is. But now we've got that brand new dynasty entering in. A few techs coming through as well. We can see that Viper is researching double broad axe. He's already got that wheelbarrow through, so he's going to be looking just to play the standard Rus opening, where typically you see a lot of archers, but at the same time, Beastyqt behind this is going to be looking to go heavily onto Choku Nu, I would expect. And indeed, we do see the first two Choku Nu out of the game. Oh my lord, this is all of my greatest dreams finally coming to life.
Oh, here come the villagers, though. All the way to the left side. This is so risky. If this ever gets found, Viper isn't going to make it back home, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is a really difficult spot for him. And now look at this. Beastyqt going to aggro the boar onto the villagers. He says, hey, you guys met my friend. It's a mother of somebody else that's also a pro gamer. But now the boar just going to be chased around in a bit of a circle, looking to aggro onto that scout. He means serious business there. And now it's going to reach that leash range that we talked about. Gets confused, going to be heading back into the middle. And now those scouts going to be A-okay. But now we see the Choku Nu moving out towards this position.
We got a knight out there on the battlefield though for Viper, and it looks like Viper is going to be able to get the boar for himself, gets away with the low HP villager as well. The Chukonu know what the target is, but for now they can't take down the tower, but we shouldn't underestimate the fact that Chukonu, in large numbers, they can take down buildings really effectively. So Beasty could think about just building up a critical mass of Chukonu over here, maybe even think about going for early siege engineering and trying to push that position.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I would expect at this point, we might see Viper look to add in more archers. In fact, we already do see archers beginning to come out, but look at the Choku Nu, look at the damage that comes out from these bad boys. He doesn't quite have plus one range damage just yet, but once he does, that is when his power spike is going to begin. But yeah, you would expect that he would look for a +1 attack as well as a siege engineering as soon as possible. But now, fortunately, it looks like he's also going to be having a few spears out, which is going to help him a huge amount against these knights.
Speaking of those knights, they're coming in for the gold mine. That is going to be one villager getting taken down. And the Chukonu, they slowly grind down the HP of those knights. But those knights are just going to be more than happy picking off two villagers over here and then calling it a day. Obviously, Song Dynasty is going to help compensate for those villager losses because you're going to train them much faster with the Chinese. But for now, the villager count is dead even and Viper has access to that boar.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. I mean, even though Viper didn't get access to that first boar, we now see the consequences of, I guess, not really securing up the second one. Sometimes we do, or at least, I mean, I'm talking about my own games here. I actually like to put an outpost on the second boar just to stop things from like this happening. But interestingly, that first boar just still sits idle despite being in leash range. But now we see Viper adding in so many more upgrades. Look at this. Blacksmith coming in behind it. He's getting that horticulture upgrade as well. And yeah, the Choku Nu going to be looking to try and come out onto the map. Still, we don't see any sort of blacksmith coming out, but more villagers being harassed. He's got to be careful. The Imperial official standing there. Look at her. She's just taking shots to the back. Actually, it's a him.
Oh, man.
Imperial official goes down. So do the Knights, though. I think Viper's going to be happy with that trade. Even though he loses the Knights, he takes out the Imperial official.
Yeah, that is going to be a big win. We talked about that one. It's much more difficult to replenish that now. Viper is coming in with the archers, trying to pick off the villagers. The Chukonu numbers are slowly increasing, but Beasty has been taking a lot of punishment here from Viper's knights, and those knights are really impacting this battle. Now the villagers are getting picked off by all those archers. It looks like the Chukonu will just focus down all the archers out there, but the losses are colossal right now for Beasty.
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't the best micro from him. He sent his two spears out directly towards those archers, and they got 2 free pickups. Now all the villagers have been killed on that outpost, and as a result, it means this position here is going to be still open for Viper at this point in time. We'll look to see how he plays it. Scouts coming out on the front line as well, looking to tank up this position. He's going to have Viper actually looking to get +1 ranged armor in this situation, which is definitely going to help out his archers a huge amount. But keep in mind, it's not going to do too much for his early knights. They already receive the the one damage from those Chokunu.
Indeed, that is the case. So for now, Viper is going to be pulled back here for the time being. Chukunu numbers steadily increasing, but those Knights are still an annoyance. And you see, once again, Viper is going to pick off the Spearman, and the Knights live to see another day dealing with most of those Chukunu. This is something that you referred to before, that at this high level, it's so easy to pick off the Spearmen that they basically become non-factors in these battles because the players are just so good when it comes to focusing them down and out-microing them.
Yeah, essentially what happens at these higher levels is that if you've got enough spearmen to kill your enemy, then your enemy just won't engage the spearmen ever, because that's what the horsemen will do. The horsemen, or the cavalry in this situation, obviously they've got the maneuverability. And it's basically just about weaving in and out, trying to take out any of those spears that you can. But now we see those spears making their way towards the front line and just being focused down by Viper. He doesn't miss a beat, and both of those spearmen lose their life, and now the Knights finally come in, and this is where we see the power of the Rus early composition against the Chinese. And there just wasn't enough spears at this point in time. There's never really been enough spears, just constantly 2 or 3 spears going in. It even happened at the very beginning. We saw those 2 spears go and lose their life to the archers that just sort of dived in. But now up towards the west side of the map, we do see that Outpost is looking to get the upgrades, going for the hand cannon slits.
Yeah, that tower is meant to deny that boar, but that wasn't really a thing there. Viper is actually establishing a farming eco here as well as a backup, and now that tower might be able to reach the villagers. Yeah, it's reaching the villagers, so suddenly that boar is going to be denied. Only 400 food left on it, so not the end of the world here for Viper, but it's definitely going to shrink his momentum that he has to transition to the farming eco a little sooner than he wanted.
And now we see Beastyqt going to be dropping down farms of his own underneath that town center. So not looking to go into a granary, not even looking to drop those farms down on a mill. He is just really keeping it real, keeping it OG, farms around the town center. Now, for anybody who's watching at home and unfamiliar with the way that Chinese farming mechanics work, there is a mechanic called tax. Every time the Chinese drop off any sort of resource to a production building, they're going to be getting taxed, but they don't get it with the town center. But now Archer's pushing in underneath the base Lidakor. It's not looking pretty right now for Beasty.
Not looking pretty because he's being denied of all the resources out there. You see, Beasty was focusing very heavily on the berries, as you pointed out. He wanted to go for farming, which is a sign that he needs to establish a stronger and more consistent food eco. And just look at the amount of villagers moving out for those berries. Right now, Beasty is starving, and Viper knows that. He's sending out the archers knowing that Beasty needs those berries. And while Viper is distracted, or Beasty is distracted rather, the Knights are also moving in here from Viper. The village will save most of those villagers, but boy oh boy, so many losses here for Beasty. Villager count now in the favor of Viper, which is never a good sign when the Chinese player is in Song Dynasty.
Yeah, this is starting to get worrisome right now. Beastyqt definitely running out of resources, it seems. But at the same time, it looks like the Chokunu are going to be able to completely ruffle stomp the archers coming out from Viper and cleaning all of that mess up. And now towards the front of the base, we see that there are continued forces beginning to build up for Viper. Beasty now going to be moving his way up there, but at the same time, those Chokunu a little bit slow.
Yeah, the thing is that the Chukunu mass is slowly growing, and you can see how much firepower they do pack. So, in a direct engagement right now, Viper can't engage, but he doesn't even want to. As long as he has those Knights in there, he can pin Beasty inside his base, and that's the game plan over here for Viper. You see, Beasty is going to struggle to access food once those berries are depleted, which will happen in like 1 or 2 moments, as the Knights are once again coming in. And this is exactly how Viper wants to play that. He knows very well that he can't engage that many Jugenu, so the best thing he can do, just run circles around the enemy base with the Knights and make sure that Beasty stays back at home with that slow and immobile army.
And that's exactly what he's doing it so damn well. But now Chokunu, you can see them picking a fight on the front line. Now, keep in mind, these guys do a lot of damage, even especially to rams. They will burn through that ram very quickly, but they got to be careful of those Knights moving in. Villagers with their baskets in hand. They want some berries, but unfortunately, there's no berries today. At least not for the moment. But now Battering Ram going to be working on this village. Keep in mind, the village health points were buffed up recently, so going to be able to survive a few more pokes from the Battering Ram. But at the same time, you definitely got to wonder how Beastyqt is going to hold on in this position.
You think those villagers are angry? Or you think they're just dancing with the spearmen on the outer circle? Did you see that?
It's a bit of a ram dance the other way around, but now at the same time on the front line, it looks like the spear is going to get completely taken out now. You can see the Chokunu looking to try and focus down the archers, but at the same time, all the spears have been completely murdered. There's just a single one that remains, second one managing to make his way out. But now the Chokunu looking to repel this position. At the same time, the Battering Ram continues taking down buildings, but Lidakor, you really got to wonder, how is Beasty going to hold on?
It's difficult, especially because he just lost 2 tax collectors in the crossfire. That's a lot of losses out there, and those are expensive to replenish. And if you look at the production buildings right now, we're looking at 1 archer range, so you really can't afford to lose a lot of tax collectors over here, because you lose the supervise, you will just find yourself being overrun. Now the blacksmith is the target out here. Beasty has reasonable blacksmith upgrades, but production-wise, Viper is getting more and more ahead, and Viper has a lot of map control, and he can use that to delay his farm transition. This is a difficult hold here for Beasty.
Yeah, it's looking worse and worse for him. We can see the military count for Viper continuing to build. He's sitting at almost double what his opponent is. Still got the nice villager count. Going to be picking up a few of the reinforcements here on the back line. So a nice little pickup here for Beasty. If there's a way to get back into the game, it's got to be with that. But look at the Chokunu numbers now beginning to build up. Now, keep in mind, once he gets up to a critical mass of about, I think it works out to be about 45 to 50. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I don't think we're going to see 50
no.
Chokunu.
I don't think we're going to see 50 Chokunu at all. That is a lot of dead villagers, though. As the archers continue to move in towards position, you can see that the villagers have got their wheelbarrow upgrade, so they do manage to skate on out there a little bit faster than usual, but a lot of them do go down. It's not feeling good right now, and now all the Chokunu are going to get cleaned up at the same time. Look at the knights just with their axes in hand, ready to take names, and unfortunately, underneath the town center of Beastyqt, it is going to be a massacre.
And there is a knight as well beating up all those lumberjacks while Beasty is distracted. That's the problem. And Beasty is going to tap out. He's just being swarmed left and right by those Rus units, really. Archers from the right side, knights from the left side. He has nowhere left to go, no food income, and no chance to win this game.
Yeah, GG, well played going over to Viper. He manages to take the first game in the series. Obviously, a matchup that we're probably going to start to see a little bit more on, but I got to say, it was exciting watching Beasty on the Chinese. I'd love to know what his thoughts are after that game and what he thinks he could have done differently. I think the big thing is probably with regard to the spears. You obviously you want to send them in and you want to try and do damage with them, but the question is, like, even if you've got 2 or 3 spears, is there any point in even sending them in? Because your enemy's just going to pick them off before they can even get a stab in. So it comes down to one of those things. But we'll take a look now at the post-game screen. You can see the total unit count there. Slowly but steadily, Viper whittled him down and eventually overcame him completely. But now we look at the end game statistics as well. The timelines, we'll have a look at the villager count here. And you can see Viper, I mean, he never really lost too much. I think he lost 1 or 2 villagers in there, potentially to that forward outpost. That was about it, though.
Yeah, that was basically it. Everything else, Viper had all the map control, and Viper got his map control the time he needed it. So by the time he started running out of food underneath his town center, or by the time he started depleting that boar or having it denied from him, he had enough map control to start taking the hunts all over, and we could see that Beasty was struggling for food for big time, so he lost access to those berries on the south, he depleted his own starting berries, no more sheep left, and he simply didn't have the time to transition to farms. We have seen this like a dozen times, really, in competitive Age of Empires every single day. You start making that farm transition, and oftentimes that's where you lose the game, because if the opponent doesn't have to make that transition, you will just encounter twice the army that what you have.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I guess the big question for me was, obviously we saw that Barbican go down, but Beastyqt didn't really look to take control of the boar. He just put the Barbican on the boar and then just never left it. And you mentioned earlier about what Lidakor had done yesterday, where he decided to not only move villagers out to drop the Barbican on the boar, but he took the Imperial official out there as well to supervise it. One of the